So people are arguing about Kingdom Hearts again, kind of. Square Enix has released a new game, Final Fantasy XVI, which has released to great success, already 3 million copies shipped worldwide, which may not sound like a lot to some people compared to other Final Fantasy games, but keep in mind this game is PS5 exclusive, so that is a pretty big number for an exclusive game. Now, I think the game is fun. The story seems very interesting so far, and I am invested. However, it wouldn't be a Square Enix release if there wasn't discourse. So what are people debating over with Final Fantasy 16? To be honest, I don't really know specifically. It seems like a little bit of everything, but it seems to lean a little bit more towards what this game is at its core. People are still bitter a little bit about Final Fantasy going the action game route. Some people think this game isn't Final Fantasy enough, even in the story. Some people are complaining about side quests, and some think the story is a little bit weird and confusing, which I haven't gotten to that part of the story yet, but people are blaming Nomura for it. Huh? Yeah, people are blaming Nomura for it? The Kingdom Hearts director? Who isn't involved in this game at all? There's this made up world where if any story is confusing, if people think the plot doesn't make any sense, that Nomura must have worked on it, which is so silly when this is one of the Final Fantasy games, one of the first ones in a while that Nomura had pretty much no involvement in. Usually Nomura does something, character design, directing, producing. He's been heavily involved in Final Fantasy over the last decade, and even before that to a degree. A lot of the famous Final Fantasy characters you guys know and love were probably designed by Nomura. But this is a rare instance where Nomura has not touched this game. From what was said by co-director Tayasu, the Kingdom Hearts team only touched the combat of Final Fantasy 16. So even if Nomura was involved on the combat end of the game, we have no reason to believe he had any sort of say or involvement in the story. And for the most part, a lot of teams were involved in the combat, were involved in the making of Final Fantasy 16. Yoshi P did a little developer world tour where he went around to all these different studios, all these different teams to get their input to make this game even better and make this game even just as great as it is. So I'm assuming the story was majority done by Yoshi P. This has actually led to a massive defense wave of Kingdom Hearts, however, because a lot of people know Nomura had nothing to do with this game's story, and people are blaming anything confusing, anything slightly weird on him, which definitely comes from people who don't even want to try and comprehend the Kingdom Hearts series. And I don't even mean it in like a super mean way, just I feel like Kingdom Hearts and it being confusing is a little bit overblown. I get it to a certain degree because I'm not gonna lie, there is a lot of stories, a lot of lore in this series, there's a lot of games, so it's intimidating to anyone, right, to try and get into the story. And eventually that intimidation turns into frustration, and that's how some people end up getting the confusing story thing. Or maybe some people play the series out of order, grew up playing the series when they were kids. They try to play the series during the time where not every Kingdom Hearts game was accessible, so if you missed 1 or 2 Kingdom Hearts games, all of a sudden you have these weird random characters popping up. I don't know, there's justifiable reasons for some people saying Kingdom Hearts is confusing, but I do still think it's overblown and it's just not logical. Like, it feels like a lot of the time when people are slandering the game for being confusing, having a weird story, blaming Nomura for it, it feels like a hate bandwagon almost. Like it's something cool to hate. But fans who actually play the series, people who have gone through the whole marathon of playing the Kingdom Hearts games, a lot of them, the story, if you just take it game by game, it's not that confusing. It's not that bad. There's definitely certain plot points that are a little like out there, and a lot of Cage fans will admit that, but I do not think it's the most confusing story in gaming. I don't think it's even close. I really don't. But let me stop rambling about that. People right now though are uplifting Kingdom Hearts in a way to kind of balance out some of the criticism, and are talking about how good some of the games are and what they've done and how just good the story is and what it's done for them. And I really love reading through some of these tweets because I mean, I just like seeing people like Kingdom Hearts. It's nice. You have people praising the Xemnas fight from Kingdom Hearts 2, talking about how Square Enix's quest to merge their action RPG cinematic design goals into one game, and basically they've done it in the Xemnas boss fight in Kingdom Hearts 2. A lot of people are uplifting Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 2 just being one of people's favorite games. If you ask anyone who's played Kingdom Hearts 2 where it stands for them, a lot of them might say top 3, top 5, maybe number 1. It's that game for some people. You also have this really interesting thread from a technical writer from Epic Games talking about why not that many companies borrow from Kingdom Hearts' design, at least not like one-to-one, maybe taking inspiration, but why Kingdom Hearts boss design or Kingdom Hearts combats is kind of hard to implement. And it's a really long thread, but I would highly recommend you guys read it. It's pretty insightful and provides an interesting perspective from the developer standpoint a little bit about just what makes Kingdom Hearts combat so good, or what makes it Kingdom Hearts. Just kind of reinforcing what makes Kingdom Hearts so unique and why it's that game again. Regarding Final Fantasy going the action game route and people being kind of critical of it, I partially feel like people are missing the point of what makes Final Fantasy Final Fantasy. I don't think Final Fantasy specifically needs to be a certain genre of game. It doesn't specifically need to be a turn-based RPG. It doesn't specifically need to be an action game. Whatever route they end up going, Final Fantasy is simply just a franchise of stories that are sometimes connected, but usually new and different. And every time a Final Fantasy game releases, it's like a statement like among RPGs. It doesn't really need to fall in line with a specific type of role-playing game. It kind of just does what it wants. That's how I've always viewed Final Fantasy, at least. But I do understand if you grew up playing a bunch of Final Fantasy games and are very used to them being turn-based, that, you know, you may want another turn-based mainline Final Fantasy game. But I think Final Fantasy, even beyond that, doesn't need to be held down to a specific style of genre. That's just me, though. I can't fully talk or criticize a lot of some of these things people are saying or complaining about with the story elements. For me, the combat so far is really fun. I like the vibe the game is going for. I know a lot of people like to complain about little things when it comes to Square Enix games. Some people don't like that it's a little bit more of a linear open world rather than kind of just being a straight up open world. People comparing it to like Zelda, Breath of the Wild, these games that have been kind of pushing open world a lot. And it's, I don't know, there's discourse within discourse with some of these things. And a lot of it definitely is just normal for Square Enix, especially over the past couple of years. There's a lot of games that just spark discourse, even if the games are amazing, even if the games are close to flawless. There's something people will find that they will make a discussion about. And frankly, Square Enix fans just love picking each other's brains about what they thought about this game, what they thought about the story, how they think about this action game. They love debating over video games because Square Enix just makes a lot of games that hit people kind of like in their soul, in their heart, you know? It's hard to play a lot of Square Enix games and not have one of them in your top 3 or just one of them being your favorite, period. They know how to tell stories and they know how to make a game that brings emotion out of you. That's definitely something I feel with Kingdom Hearts, at least. But I feel like sometimes the picking at each other's brains, trying to figure out what everyone's thinking or everyone falls in line with something, it sometimes gets overblown and ends up turning into needless debates and arguments. And I'm not gonna sit here and say like all this debate isn't worth it or anything necessarily. I will say the Nomura part is probably the weirdest part and the part that does not make any sense, but everything else I can't fully comment on. But I do think there is such a thing where you can become a little too critical of something, too critical to the point where you have to question, is me viewing a game this way just affecting my experience with games as a whole? I hate to be the consume product person, but sometimes it is just fun to just try and enjoy something. If you do hate something, it's cool. Go ahead, hate it, like trash it, do whatever. But I don't think every tiny thing is really worth debating over, worth like arguing about. Because there's things in games that are overwhelming positives, things that are so good, I don't really care if this thing isn't the best it could have been. But that will about do it for me for today's video. I just wanted to talk about this. I thought it was interesting. It was interesting seeing people argue and somehow drag Kingdom Hearts into it, drag Nomura into it, which was really weird. But let me know what you think down below. How are you enjoying Final Fantasy 16? If you are playing, are you waiting to play it? Do you not have a PS5? Let me know down below. But if you enjoyed today's video, you already know what to do. Leave a like, share it with a friend or family member, and last but not least, if you're not already and want to become a part of the union, all you have to do is that red subscribe button down below. My name is Prodigy, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, you guys. Bye.
Now she's a daydreamer. She's always thinking